Reading now from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on the second canto, chapter number 5, and the title is The Cosmic Manifestation, and the chapter title is Causes of All Causes. Today we will be going through the verses 36 till 42. So that should complete our fifth chapter in Canto 2.
Krishna Swarupa Prabhu,
Yes.
would you mind switching on your video?
Oh, yes, Prabhu.
And Sachin Prabhuji, maybe you would like to record the video.
Yes, I have started that.
Let me know if you guys can see me well and hear me well.
We can see.
All okay, Prabhu.
Okay. Thank you all. So let's start with the prayers. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam. Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhatreshu. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Amshloke Bhaktarvati Nishtiki. Thank you. Also, we will start with the shloka number 36. So shloka 36. Oh, let me share my screen. I'm not sharing my screen, I think so. Share screen. So here you go, 36. I'll read the translation and the purport for 36. 37 onwards, someone wants to participate, they can. Okay. Let's start with the text number 36. So text 36. Yasyeha vayarve lokan kalpayanti manishinaha katyadhibi pradah saptam saptodharvam jagannadhibihi. Translation. Great philosophers imagine that the complete planetary system in the universe are display of all different upper and lower limbs of the universal body of the Lord. Purport.
The word kalpayanti or imagine is significant. The Virat universal form of the Absolute is an imagination of the speculative philosophers who are unable to adjust to the eternal two-handed form of Lord Krishna. Although the universal form, as imagined by the great philosophers, is one of the features of the Lord, it is more or less imaginary. It is said that the 7 upper planetary systems are situated above the waist of the universal form, whereas the lower planetary system are situated below his waist. The idea impressed herein is that the Supreme Lord is conscious of every part of his body, and nowhere in the creation is there anything beyond his control. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu, so much. So I'll just share my screens as usual, a presentation that we will look into. So we are at Srimad Bhagavatam 2, 5, 36 to 42 is what we will cover, the cosmic manifestation. So let's look at the summary. Although the purports are very small, so I will look at a few sections there. So 36 is talking about the universal form of the Absolute Lord. Okay. We also will look at the 14 planetary systems. And then the question comes is why creation, right? So Sukhdev Goswami is actually starting with the creation first. So let's look why creations in there. 37 is all about the living beings and all of them are parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. That's the core summary of 37. And then it also talks about Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, and Shudras. They are there, and they are born of their own nature. They have their own qualities according to the three modes of material nature. That's 37. 38 is all about no one within the universe is without the relationship with the Lord. So when we look at the planetary system, there is a relationship that exists with the Lord, since it is coming from the Lord. So look at that. Then all the spiritual planets are eternal. So 39 talks about what happens during the destruction, who is there, and what planets remain, and what planets are annihilated. 40 and 41 talks about the only way to attain the kingdom of God is through the service attitude. So we'll look at that. And then 42 is the last. It talks about the three division of the complete planetary systems. Okay, so that's the summary. Purports are small, so we'll go through them one by one. So let's do 36 as we talked. So 36 is all about the universal form. And in this particular shloka, which is 36 shloka, it is all talking about 7 upper planetary systems are situated above the waist of the universal form, whereas the lower planetary systems are situated below his waist. So there are 7 that are situated above his waist and 7 which are situated below his waist. A core point here is all the creation that is happening within the body. It's very important to understand that all of this is under his control. Since everything is coming from his body, there's nothing that is out of control for the Lord. Okay. And if you look at the universal form here, Prabhupada talks about that this is based on an imagination. So Prabhupada talks about people who cannot understand and apprehend the two form, the form of the Lord with the original Krishna's form, which is two-handed form. They start imagining things. So the universal form is more about the imagination. This universal form is also speculated, imagined by philosophers and sages. And if you look at the universal form, the Lord displays his power and opulences using this universal form. Prabhupada always talks that, this particular form of the Lord, which is a universal form should not be meditated upon for 2 reasons. First, he says that you cannot render any service to this universal form because that form has no reciprocation. So you cannot really reciprocate with that form. We'll see what that form is of the Lord, right? Where we see planetary systems and all. It's more of Lord creating this form, but more in the Shantara. So this reciprocation that is not possible in this universal form is because that universal form is in the Shantaras. So there's no reciprocation whatsoever with this universal form. So that's the summary. This is the universal form of the Lord. Now we'll go and see the different planetary systems that we are talking about. So these are 14 planetary systems. Now, this is the actual picture that we all know, we all understand that you have the Bhurloka, which is Earth, and you have 7 planetary systems, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatal, Mahatal, Rasatal, and Patala. These are the 7 lower planetary systems. This is where we are on the Earth planet. And these are upper planetary system. This is Bhuvarlok, Swargalok, Maharlok, Janalok, Tapalok, and Satyalok, right? So this is the 7 upper planetary systems. So these are 7 up and 7 down. So it is said below his waist is the 7 and above his waist is the 7 planetary system. So this is how the 14 planetary system looks like. 7 lower and 7 upper planetary systems. Okay. And the names are here and the description also shows what is in here. Okay. Now, the question comes is why creation, right? the most important part is, Bhagavatam initially starts with the creation. So let's look at the reasons why creation is important. So the first and foremost thing is, the good reason is for us to become qualified to enter the kingdom of God. First is we should understand what the kingdom of God is. What is the nature of that spiritual world? What happens? Is there a way we can go into that spiritual world? What are the qualities of that spiritual world? Who is there? Yeah, how can we serve someone in that kingdom of God? So the primary reason is for us to become qualified. Now, at times, this creation also helps us to see how we are situated in this creation. We also should know what we are and our relation with that particular creation, right? What is our position when there is a creation? Where are we? In which part of the planetary system we are? What is our position? Also, how can we interact? As I said, if I have to enter into the kingdom of a God, then I need certain interaction with the Lord's creation. So that is also very important. And then the last point is, mostly people are attracted towards the Aishwarya Leela of the Lord, which is creation aspect of the Lord. That's why this creation has been brought first, because a lot of people get attracted towards the creation aspect. But the primary aim of this creation is so that we become qualified to enter the kingdom of the Lord. Unless we know what the hierarchy is, how can we go there? What can we do? What is our position? How do we interact? What is happening? It's very difficult for us to enter into the kingdom of the Lord. So that's why the creation is very important as for the devotees. But for generic people, it is the Aishwarya Leela of the Lord, where he most of the people are attracted by the creation aspect. So that's why creation is coming at the beginning in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, I think we have to go to the 37th shloka. Okay, 37. 37 says, Purushasya mukham brahma kshatrametasya bhavaha bhava urvo vaishya bhagavata padbhyam shudro vyajayata. Translation. Can someone read the translation and purport?
I'll read, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. The Brahmanas represent his mouth, the Kshatriyas his arms, the Vaishyas his thighs, and the Shudras are born of his legs. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. All living beings are stated to be the parts and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and how they are so is explained in this verse. The four divisions of human society, namely the intelligent class, the Brahmanas, the administrative class, the Kshatriyas, the mercantile class, the Vaishyas, and the laborers class, the Shudras, are all in different parts of the body of the Lord. As such, no one is different from the Lord. The mouth of the body and the leg of the body are no different constitutionally, but the mouth or the head of the body is qualitatively more important than the legs. At the same time, the mouth, the legs, the arms, and the thighs are all component parts of the body. These limbs of the body of the Lord are meant to serve the complete whole. The mouth is meant for speaking and eating. The arms are meant for protection of the body. The legs are meant for carrying the body. And the waist of the body is meant for maintaining the body. The intelligent class in society, therefore, must speak on behalf of the body, as well as aspect foodstuff to satisfy the hunger of the body. The hunger of the Lord is to aspect the fruits of sacrifice. The Brahmanas or the intelligent class must be very expert in performing such sacrifices, and the subordinate classes must join in such sacrifices. To speak for the Supreme Lord means to glorify the Lord by means of propagating the knowledge of Lord as it is, broadcasting the factual nature of the Lord and the factual position of all other parts of the whole body. The Brahmanas, therefore, are required to know the Vedas, or the ultimate source of knowledge. Veda means knowledge, and Anta means the end of it. According to Bhagavad Gita, the Lord is the source of everything. I am Sarvasya Prabhava, and thus the end of all knowledge, Vedanta, is to know the Lord, to know our relationship with Him, and to act according to the relationship only. The parts of the body are related to the body. Similarly, the living being must know his relationship with the Lord. The human life is especially meant for this purpose, namely to know the factual relationship of every living being with the Supreme Lord. Without knowing this relationship, the human life is spoiled. The intelligent class of men, the Brahmanas, are therefore especially responsible for broadcasting this knowledge of our relationship with the Lord and leading the general mass of people to the right path. The administrative class is meant for protecting the living beings so that they can serve this purpose. The mercantile class is meant for producing food grains and distributing them to the complete human society so that the whole population is given a chance to live comfortably and discharge the duties of the human life. The mercantile class is also required to give protection to the cows in order to get sufficient milk and milk products, which alone can give the proper health and intelligence to maintain a civilization perfectly meant for knowledge of the ultimate truth. And the laborer class, who are neither intelligent nor powerful, can help by physical services to the other higher classes, and thus be benefited by their cooperation. Therefore, the universe is a complete unit in relationship with the Lord. And without this relationship with the Lord, the whole human society is distributed and is without any peace or prosperity. This is confirmed in the Vedas. Brahmano Saya Mukham Asid Bahu Ranjaya Karta. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay. So let's come to the second part of the shloka. So here it is very specifically mentioned that all the living beings are stated to be the parts and parcel of the Supreme. So here in this creation chapter, we are talking about the four varnas, which is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, and Shudra. And they all come from the Lord's body. So Brahmanas, they come from the mouth of the Lord. Kshatriyas, they come from his arms. Vaishyas from his thighs, and Shudras from his legs. And Prabhupada very nicely explains that, how all the different parts of the body work together, performing a specific function. Similarly, these four varnas, which is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, and Shudras, also have specific responsibilities and duties that they need to perform. And we will see some of them. I've listed, maybe we'll read the most important one. So all these that we talked about, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, and Shudras, are distinguished by their qualities born of their own nature in accordance with the three material qualities that they exist. So we have Brahmanas, who are primarily priests, teachers, and intellectuals. Kshatriyas, who are warriors, police, and administrators. Vaishyas, who are farmers, merchants, and business people, and Shudras are artisans and workers that we have. And Prabhupada talks about the qualities of each one of them. And Prabhupada does mention, saying that the head is the most important, right? That means the Brahmana is the most important out of all of them, because he is the one who is actually studying and teaching Vedas. most important. And the second point Prabhupada mentions also is the most important part is to perform sacrifices and religious ceremonies, and even teach others on how to perform that rituals. Okay, so that's the most important part that the Brahmana is doing. Others have to follow him. So, for example, in the olden days, the Kshatriyas were actually following what the Brahmanas used to say. Okay, and we'll see some of the qualities of Kshatriyas also. So then they offer guidance to the Kshatriyas, as we have seen here. So these are some of the most important qualities as Brahmanas, and they accept and give in charity also. Okay, now Kshatriyas are the people who would follow the Brahmanas, right? The most important part was to give protection. Kshatriyas were primarily there to give us protection, to ensure that the citizens are performing their prescribed duties as required. So that was the responsibility of the Kshatriyas, right? There are a few more qualities of the Kshatriya that are listed in here, but he is primarily responsible for the protection and then making sure that the others are performing their duties as requested, apart from the ones that are listed here. Then the third category that Prabhupada talks about are the Vaishyas, right? And the main responsibility of the Vaishyas were to protect the animals, especially the cow protections, right? This is what is needed. And they were responsible, actually, since they were farmers and merchants and business people, they were responsible to create the wealth and prosperity, right? And to maintain abundant food and cloth that is needed. So that was the main responsibilities in here, right? The last one that Prabhupada did mention was about the Shudras, where it was all about how these were basically the workers who render service to the others, right? So all the four have their own responsibilities, and everyone is performing specific function as mentioned in the Varnashram Dharma and as listed in here. Okay. So, and at the last, Prabhupada says that, there has to be a relationship between these. So as Prabhupada mentioned, since they are different parts of the bodies and they all coordinate, similarly, Prabhupada says that, yes, all these four needs to have a relationship with the Lord. And if that is not there, then there is a lot of disturbance that happens. So wherever you find that, these four Varna, which is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudras are not in sync, in harmony, you find that there is no peace and prosperity there. And this is what Prabhupada mentions, that this is in relationship with the Lord. So everything that these four people are doing is in relation with the Lord, and Brahmana doing the most important part of preaching and guiding the other people on the same path. Okay. Okay, so let's take 38. 38 says, Bhurloka kalpita padbhyam bhuvarlokasya nabitaha rada sarvaloka usara maharloko mahatmanaha. Translation. Okay, I'll read the translation. The lower planetary system up to the limit of earthly stratum are said to be situated in his legs. The middle planetary system beginning from Bhuvarloka are situated in his navel. And the still higher planetary systems occupied by the demigods and highly cultured sages and saints are situated in the chest of the Supreme Lord, purport. There are 14 spheres of planetary systems within the universe. The lower system are called Bhuvarloka. The middle systems are Bhurloka, and the middle systems are called Bhuvarloka, and the higher planetary systems are called Brahmaloka. The highest planetary system of the universe are called Swargaloka, and all of them are situated on the body of the Lord. In other words, no one within this universe is without the relationship with the Lord. So since this is all emanating from the Lord himself, there is no one without the relationship. So all that we talked about, the higher planetary systems and the lower planetary system in this within the universe is in relation to the Lord. So this is the complete universe. So everything that is happening in this universe is also related to the Lord, because all of them are situated within the body of the Lord. Therefore, a relationship always exists. Okay, that's shloka number 38. Okay, 39. 39 says, Girvayam janalokasya tapalokostana dvayat Murdhabhi satyalokastu brahmaloka sanatanaha. Translation.
Yeah, I'm reading Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Translation. From the forefront of the chest up to the neck of the universal form of the Lord are situated the planetary systems named Janaloka and Tapaloka, whereas Satyaloka, the topmost planetary system, is situated on the head of the form. These spiritual planets, however, are eternal. Purport. Many times in these pages, we have discussed the spiritual planets situated beyond the material sky, and the description is corroborated in this verse. The word Sanatana is significant. This very idea of eternity is expressed in the Bhagavad Gita 8.20, where it is said that beyond the material creation is the spiritual sky, where everything is eternal. Sometimes Satyaloka, the planet in which Brahma resides, is also called Brahmaloka. But the Brahmaloka mentioned here is not the same as the Satyaloka planetary system. The Brahmaloka is eternal, whereas the Satyaloka planetary system is not eternal. And to distinguish between the two, the adjective Sanatana has been used in this case. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, this Brahmaloka is the loka or abode of Brahman or the Supreme Lord. In the spiritual sky, all the planets are as good as the Lord Himself. The Lord is all spirit, and His name, fame, glories, qualities, pastimes, etc. are all non different from Him because He is absolute. As such, the planets in the kingdom of God are also not different from him. In those planets, there is no difference between the body and the soul, nor is there any influence of time as we experience in the material world. And in addition to there being no influence of time, the planets in Brahmaloka, due to being spiritual, are never annihilated. All variegatedness in the spiritual planets is also one with the Lord, and therefore the Vedic aphorism ekam advaitam is fully realized in that Sanatana atmosphere of spiritual variegatedness. This material world is only shadow phantasmagoria of the spiritual kingdom of the Lord. And because it is a shadow, it is never eternal. The variegatedness in the material world of duality, spirit and matter, cannot be compared to that of the spiritual world. Because of the poor fund of knowledge, less intelligent persons sometimes mistake the conditions of the shadow world to be equivalent to those of the spiritual world, and thus they mistake the Lord and his pastimes in the material world to be one with the conditioned souls and their activities. The Lord condemns such less intelligent persons in the Bhagavad Gita 9.11. Avajanani mam mudha manusim tanum ashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Whenever the Lord incarnates, he does so in his full internal potency, Atma Maya, and less intelligent persons mistake him to be one of the material creations. Srila Sridhara Swami, therefore, rightly commenting on this verse, says that the Brahmaloka mentioned here is Vaikuntha, the kingdom of the God, which is Sanatana or eternal, and is therefore not exactly like the material creations described above. The Virat universal form of the Lord is an imagination for the material world. It has nothing to do with the spiritual world or the kingdom of God. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhu. So Prabhupada is very clear in this particular purport that there is a spiritual world and a material world separate. It is very clear made in this particular purport. There are references that Prabhupada talks about that these are two separate worlds that exist. And at the last, Prabhupada also says that, this is because of the internal potency of the Lord that these world exist. Yeah, the spiritual world exists and the material world also exists. Let's look at some of the things that are highlighted. So spiritual world are eternal, right? A very good sloka in Bhagavad Gita 8.20 is Parastasmatu bhavo anyo avyakta sanatanaha yasa sarvat bhuteshu na nasyatsu na vinashyati. It says, yet there is another unmanifested nature which is eternal and transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and it is never annihilated. When all this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. So the 14 planetary systems that we were looking into were part of this universe here, which is shown in this particular picture, right? And then from here onwards, this full section is the spiritual world. So you have all these dhamas that are coming. Madhurya Dham is there. Then you have Ayodhya Dham. Then you have Dwarka. Then you have Golok Vrindavan. So these are all the dhams which are, and this is all spiritual world. Okay. And Prabhupada does mention that, once the destruction happens, what happens is only this part it goes. So the spiritual world still remains there. And Prabhupada also explains very nicely that, let's look at some of them. Yeah, I've put it here. So kingdom are of the God are non-different from it. So Prabhupada also mentions that this spiritual world is non-different from the Lord himself, right? And Prabhupada also mentions here that since there is the spiritual world and then there is no difference, Prabhupada also mentions that there is no difference between the body and the soul, whoever resides in the spiritual world. So people who are staying in here, they do not have a body and so there's no difference between their body and soul. Here in the spiritual world is there is no influence of time. And since there is no influence of time, there is no annihilation that is happening. And that's what Prabhupada says, that that's the nature of the Lord himself. And then this is the same exhibited within the spiritual world as well. Okay. Now, yeah, and Prabhupada also says that since there are people who have poor fund of knowledge, they do not realize this. So what they think is, the spiritual world and the material world are equal, right? Prabhupada writes that people think that, they are equivalent. So whatever is happening here, they think, yes, the same is happening there as well. But Prabhupada says, no, this is because of the poor fund of knowledge, that they do not understand that these are two separate things. They do not know what is a quality of a spiritual world and what is the quality of the material world. And because of their pure fund of knowledge, they typically mistake, the Lord and his pastimes and his devotees. Okay. And Sridhar Swami also rightly comments here that the Brahma Loka that was mentioned here, it is said that this Brahma Lok is the abode of the Lord. So it is very clear that this Brahma Lok that we are talking about is the spiritual world. And this is what we saw. This is that spiritual world that we are talking about. Okay, this is called Brahma Loka also. So this spiritual world is what Prabhupada in his purport also has mentioned, which does not annihilate. There's no time influence of time, and there is no difference between the body and soul, whoever resides in here. Okay. Okay. This is what it says. This is Sanatan and it is eternal. So it is everlasting. It still stays always. Let's take text 40 and 41. So 40 and 41 says, Tatkatyam chalam Tatkatyam chalatam kaltam urubhyam sutalam shuddha jangabhyam tu talatalam mahatalam tu gufabhyam prapadabhyam rasatalam patalam pad Padatalat iti lokmaya puman. Translation.
Translation. I'll read, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. My dear son Narada, know from me that there are 7 lower planetary systems out of the total 14. The first planetary system, known as Athala, is situated on the waist. The second, Vitala, is situated on the thighs. The third, Sutala, and on the knees. And the fourth, Tala, on the shanks. The fifth, Mahatala, on the ankles. The sixth, Rasatala, on the upper portion of the feet. And seventh, Pathala, on the sole of the feet. Thus, the Virata form of the Lord is full of all planetary systems. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Modern enterprises, the astronauts who travel in space may take information from Srimad Bhagavatam that in space there are 14 divisions of planetary systems. The situation is calculated from the earthly planetary system, which is called Bruhaloka. Above Bruhaloka is Bhuhavarloka, and topmost planetary system is called Satyaloka. These are the upper 7 lokas or planetary systems. And similarly, there are 7 lower planetary systems known as the Athala, Vithala, Sutala, Talathala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Pathala lokas. All these planetary systems are scattered over the complete universe, which occupies an area of 2 billion times 2 billion square miles. The modern astronauts can travel only a few thousand miles away from the Earth, and therefore their attempt to travel in the sky is something like child's play on the shore of an expansive ocean. The moon is situated in the third status of the upper planetary system, and in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we shall be able to know the distant situation of the various planets scattered over the vast material sky. There are innumerable universes beyond the one in which we are put, and all these material universes cover only an insignificant portion of the spiritual sky, which is described above as Sanatana Brahmaloka. The Supreme Lord very kindly invites the intelligent human beings to return home back to Godhead in the following verses of the Bhagavad Gita 8:16. Prabhuji, I will not be able to pronounce this properly. It is okay if you can read this.
Yeah. Abrahma bhuvana loka punar avartinorjuna mamupeti tu kaunteya punar janma na vidyate.
Beginning from Satyaloka, the topmost planet of the universe, situated just below the eternal Brahmaloka, as described above, all the planets are material, and one's situation in any of many material planets is still subjected to the laws of the material nature, namely birth, death, old age, and disease. But one can get complete liberation from all the above mentioned material pangs when one enters into the eternal Brahmaloka, Sanatana atmosphere, the kingdom of God. Therefore, liberation, as contemplated by the speculative philosophers and the mystic, is possible only when one becomes a devotee of the Lord. Anyone who is not a devotee cannot enter into the kingdom of Lord. Only by attainment of a service attitude in the transcendental position can one enter into the kingdom of Godhead. Therefore, the speculative philosophers as well as the mystics must first of all be attracted to the devotional cult before they can actually attain liberation. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Okay, so Prabhupada is very clear on this part. He was mentioning all the planetary system, which are 14 lower from the west and upper. But the most important part Prabhupada mentions is there are modern scientists who actually take information from Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam has a very precise distances that are mentioned between these planetary systems, which obviously, since this is too big an area, which Prabhupada writes, this is 2 billion times to but then Srimad Bhagavatam has exact distances mentioned between those planetary systems and how much is the total size, what is the differences, and typically, these people refer to Srimad Bhagavatam because they have the accurate numbers in here. So let's go to the 4041, right? So there are the most important part that Prabhupada mentioned here is that if you have to enter the kingdom of God, which is the spiritual sky, the most important part is you can only do this by attaining a service attitude. Okay, so you need to perform bhakti, you need to perform bhakti towards Krishna very specifically, right? A very good shloka that comes in is Anyabhi Lashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam Anukulena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktir Uttamam. So this says one should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without the desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. This is called pure devotional service. So only performing bhakti, devotional bhakti, which is towards the Lord. Okay, that is what is very important. And only then you will be able to enter the kingdom of the Lord. Obviously, Prabhupada says that, all these lower planetary system, our aim should not be to go, but we have to go upwards towards the planetary system. And this is where the kingdom of God is. So if you have to elevate yourself up from where you are, which is your Bhurloka earth, upwards, you need to perform bhakti, right? And then shloka is also very famous, which is Shama Shrita Ye Pad Pallava Palvam Mahat Padam Punya Yasho Murare Bhavam Budher Vatsapadam Param Padam Yat Vipadam Natesham. It says, for those who have accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of cosmic manifestation and is famous as Murari, the enemy of the Mura demon. The ocean of the material world is like a water contained in a calf's hoof print, right? Their goal is Parampadam, Vaikuntha, the place where there is no material miseries, not the place where there is danger at every step. So this is very important that if you have to go there, you have to perform bhakti. And the best way is to perform devotional service at the lotus feet of the Lord, right? Then in this particular shloka also, there is one more shloka that was very good, which talks about Brahma Bhuvana Lokha Punar Avartino Arjuna Mam Upetyeti Kaunteya Punar Janmana Vidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all the places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So Prabhupada does mention that all the lower seven planetary systems that we are talking about they are full of miseries, right? You have repeated birth and death. But if you don't have to take birth again, then you have to attain the Lord's abode. So you have to excel yourself towards the kingdom of the Lord, right? And then Baldev Vidya Bhushan in his commentary also, this shloka is very nice, also says, where there is devastation of this material universe, Brahma and his devotee, who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness, are all transferred to the spiritual universe and to a specific spiritual planet according to their desires. So this is also very important. People who are performing bhakti, who are into Krishna consciousness, are transferred to the spiritual universe, when there is a devastation that is happening of this particular material universe. So along with the Brahma, the devotees, they go up, and based on your specific desire, you attain that specific spiritual planet. Okay. So the last shloka, which is 42, it says, Bhur lokan kalpita padbhyam bhuvarlo kosya nabitaha sarva loka kalpito murdhana iti valo kalpana. Translation, I'll read it. This is the last one. Other may divide the whole planetary system into three divisions, namely lower planetary systems on the legs up to the Earth, the middle planetary systems on the navel, and upper planetary system, Sarvaloka, from the chest to the head of the Supreme Personality. Purport. The three divisions of complete planetary systems are mentioned. 14 are imagined by others. That is also explained. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport of second canto, 5th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Cause of All Causes. It's very important. So this is what Prabhupada says, three divisions. This is what people, even if they don't have the knowledge, they just know, they just imagine that there is something called a Patal Lok, although the Patal Lok is having so many planetary systems. They know that we are staying in a place where it is called Earth, which is Bhurlok, and then there is heavenly planets, but there is also various heavenly planets that exist from above the Bhurlok, from Bhurlok till Satyalok. So this is the three divisions that Prabhupada is mentioning: lower planetary system, Earth where we stay, and the heaven planetary system. So people imagine only these three. People do not have the knowledge of what is the characteristic of each one of them, and what happens in each of these planets. A detailed description, I think, will be followed. So we will cover that in those. Just last two slides. Looking at all the shlokas that we saw from 36 till 42, we saw that everything is Krishna's manifestation. And what we should do is we should try to remember the Lord, right? Because there's nothing that is independent of the Lord. So, as the chapter said, Krishna is the causes of all causes. If you look at some of the references that I've put here, it all talks about it is only Krishna. We'll just read few of them. I've just put a small shloka line so that we all understand, we know these shlokas, and then just a small translation for that. So, Brahma Samhita 5.1 says, Ishvara Parama Krishna. It is, he is the origin of all and the prime causes of all the causes. Bhagavad Gita 10.2 says, Aham Adehi Devanam. It says, I am the source of all demigods and sages. Right? Bhagavad Gita 10.8 says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhava. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Then he says, Bhagavad Gita 10.32, again Bhagavad Gita says, Sargam Adir Antascha. Of all creations, I am the beginning and the end and also the middle. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1, right? Janmadi Asya Yato, the first shloka. Shri Krishna, because he is absolute truth and the primeval cause of all the causes of creation, sustenance, and destruction. So that's the first shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam. Katha Upanishad 2.2.13 says, Nitya Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. He is the most perfect, eternal. He is the most perfect living force that exists. Ishopanishad, right? The first invocation shloka is Om Purnamadha Purnamidam. Say the personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. And in Ishopanishad mantra Vandra, it says Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam. Everything animates that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. And in Bhagavad Gita also 14.4, these are some of the references. Bhagavad Gita 14.4 says, Aham Bija Pradapita. I am the seed-giving father. So everything that you see is Krishna's manifestation, be it material or spiritual world. So our aim is we should try to remember the Lord. In one of the lectures, I had a very nice verse. Since everything is Krishna's manifestation, we should try to remember the Lord first. And then it says, if you can't remember the Lord, you can always remember the elements of the Lord. For instance, then try to remember the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord. If you can't remember that, then remember the paraphernalia of the Lord. So do some service for the Lord. If you can't even do that, then you can even think about the planetary systems or the universal form of the Lord. If even not, then you can even think of the material energy around you. Whatever you see around you is again Krishna's manifestation. So our goal is, since everything is coming from Krishna, we should always try to remember the Lord. But this was a good step wherein you can remember any of these, but it's better to remember the Lord. Okay, that was the last two slides that I had, and I think we are done with the chapter.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Wonderful explanation. Anyone has any question?
Prabhu,
No, Prabhuji.
one small clarification. This Garbhodakshay Vishnu, he lies on the Patal Lok, na? And from there, the stem starts from his navel, which goes through all the lokas and go up to the birth of the Brahma.
Let me open that picture. Hold.
Yeah.
Picture. Yeah, so Prabhu, what happens? He is not lying in the Patal Loka. Okay. He enters the universe. If you read the description, and I'll go to the purport that was there, I think 35 I was reading. Let me share my screen, right? Okay, so it is not he is there, he enters into the universe. Just hold on, I'm sharing my screen back. Here is my share screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, Prabhu.
Okay, so 35, read this. Okay. So Hiranyagarbha, he enters into the each universe and assumes the. So what happens is this form of the Lord that you see here, which is here down here, it's not that he's lying here. He enters into this universe. You see what I'm trying to say? There's a difference. He's not lying in the Patal Loka, but he expands himself and enters into one universe with this form. And from there, the universe creation starts. Are we clear on this? So he's
No,
not
Prabhu,
lying on the.
my end, the Mahavishnu who enters is on the top of it, according to my interpretation. And this is Garbhodaksha Vishnu who has given birth to Brahma. And his stem is going through all the lokas. That's what I feel. If I may be wrong, certainly. That
No,
Mahavishnu is on the top. He enters the whole universe and creates all these universe. But this Garbhodaksha Vishnu, who is Sankarshan, he is on the bottom, below maybe the Patallok or whatever it is. And
yeah,
then
but yeah, this is what I'm trying to tell you, Prabhu, that he is not lying in the Patal Lok. He enters into this universe, and so all the different Vishnus that you have, Karnadakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, they are entering them. It's not that he's lying there. You got?
and that is maybe a wrong word chosen by me.
Can
So you're yeah,
I-
yes, Prabhu.
So सुशील प्रभु, आप ऐसे एक इमेजिन करो कि आपने एक बकेट फुल ऑफ वाटर लिया है, ओके, और उसमें लेट से क्रिकेट के 5-6 बॉल्स आपने डाले उसमें, So now that bucket full of water, that water is the Karana ocean. The individual balls are the universes within that
Yes.
ocean.
Yes, Prabhu.
And let's say then you insert एक pin या ऐसे कुछ insert करते हो ball में, तो because of which air and everything can go inside the ball, या water and everything. So this universe is complete in itself. उसमें air भी है, earth भी है, everything is there. Now Garbhodakshai Vishnu enters into it, and then he creates life into it. And बाद में Kshirodakshai Vishnu enters into the heart of each and every living entity.
Yeah.
तो उसको ऐसे understand कर सकते हैं हम लोग.
I think somewhere in the fifth canto, some confusion comes. So that's why I just thought, let me. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
कृष्ण स्वरूप प्रभु, मेरा एक क्वेश्चन था. When we say planetary system, is it different from the word planet? Like, for example, we understand Earth, Mars, Venus, Saturn, Jupiter, Mercury as planets. So all of these, is it a one planetary system, or Earth is one planetary system, Mars, Jupiter, and are individually their own planetary systems?
So I think what I understand, Prabhu, is when you talk of the universe, within the universe, you will have a lot of uh, planetary systems that we have. So sorry. So I think within one universe, you will have all these planets, which are also called Mars and Saturn and Jupiter, but that is within the universe. Although here it says planetary systems, but you may also have these. So let me expand this here, right? So I don't know if you can see something in here. Am I sharing my screen or I stopped it? Let me share my screen.
Yeah,
You stopped it.
Okay, share. Sorry. So Prabhu, within the universe, you will see that there are these planets that exist. So these planets would be somewhere here. Somewhere here within the universe. So you have a planetary system, complete system, which is this. And within this planetary system, you will have certain positions which will have all these Dhruv Tara, Dhruvalok, and all that, or not Dhruvalok, but the other things which are like, the other planets that are there. This is what I understand, unless this is not the case. So it should be somewhere here.
So then when we are
This
saying,
is Earth. You see, this is Earth, right? So Earth is a planet here, right? Similarly, you'll have other planets as well.
so does it mean that these planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, they are Svargalok, Bhulok, Maharlok, Tapalok, or they are different?
No, so there is a 3D photo. Let me see if I have that. 1 minute. Let's try to pull out. Hold. I'll see if I have that picture with me. There is a 3D photo that I had. Hold up. Meanwhile, if anyone has any other question, they can take this, but I'm just trying to get that photo. 1 minute. Yeah, so I think this picture is, I'll open it up. Share my screen. I don't know. I was trying to get another one, but let's see if we can get this one. Share this one. Share the screen now back. So say share. Screens. Can you see my screen? Let me know.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, so this picture, if you see here, Prabhu, you see this is how the arrangement is, right? If you look at the 3D, so this is all the 14, and you will see somewhere through you know, there should be these stars somewhere here arranged somewhere in this. So it is like this from top to bottom, and then you will have some stars here. You have Capricorn, Libra, and all this. So, you know, all these should be somewhere here. This is what I understand, unless, you know, this is not the correct one.
Okay, Prabhu. Okay.
You should get a 3D picture of that. I was trying to get something else, but I could not find it. But I'll try to see if I can get something else.
Okay. Thank you so much. Anybody, any question? Just one request to everybody, please forward this group's invite to everybody as much possible. Let them benefit. This creation as a concept is being spoken by some stalwarts in our group, like Jagan Prabhu, Radhapat Pankaj Prabhu, Krishna Swarupa. Sanjay Prabhu spoke a fantastic, gave a fantastic lecture last week. So let everyone benefit out of it. And very shortly, within 2-3 chapters, we will be reaching the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, which is a kind of an encyclopedia in itself. So let everyone benefit from it. Please invite as many people as possible for on this forum. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for joining.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.